guys, I'm back with a different topic. In senior English syllabus, we are supposed to learn a list of 220 words which are derived from 29 root words. What do you think? Is it really possible? Let's check. Hope by now you might have guessed the topic of the session. Yes, it's vocabulary based on root words. By the way, I'm Dr. B. Saujanya, working at Government Junior College, Pidugurala, Guntur district. I present myself in favor of the Board of Intermediate Education, Andhra Pradesh. Before going into the actual topic, let's get to know what's vocabulary, what are root words, and how do root words help in building vocabulary. Most importantly, why should we learn vocabulary? What's the importance of learning vocabulary? First, let's begin with what's vocabulary. Vocabulary is the group of words used in a particular language. Every language has its own set of vocabulary. If we take the example of English language, we have approximately 1,71,146 words which are currently being used. And in Telugu, it is 2,70,000 words. There might be an overlapping of words in languages like what we do. We use many English words in Telugu language. When we come to personal vocabulary, that is the vocabulary of a person, like my vocabulary or your vocabulary, it is the number of words which we know with spelling, meaning and pronunciation. Again, when we take illiterates, they may not know the spelling of all the words they are using, but they are very fluent in using those words because they know the meaning and then the pronunciation. So the words which are in our vocabulary are used very fluently without any hesitation. We can put them in any context while we are speaking. Understandably, the vocabulary of our native language is great when compared to the other languages. For example, our vocabulary in Telugu language is huge when compared to our vocabulary in English language. Now let's see what are the advantages of good vocabulary. The basic purpose of language is good communication, and vocabulary forms the basis of any language. So to communicate effectively, you need a good vocabulary. This is how it is important in language development. It also helps in succeeding in studies or occupation, especially for those students who are trying for their GRE, SAT and TOEFL. It's very important to have good vocabulary to crack these exams. And it is scientifically proven that languages keep brains active. Since vocabulary is the basis of any language, vocabulary also keeps brain active. Whenever I encounter a word which I can't understand, I start feeling that until then I've been roaming in a house very freely and suddenly I came across a locked door which obstructs me from going out. I can't go any further in that reading. I think many of you must have felt this when you come across some difficult words. I assure you that root words are going to be a bunch of keys that can open any door. With the help of root words, we can understand many difficult words. Since I said root words, we'll get to know what are root words. But before going to know English root words, it's better, I feel personally, to know about the root words of our own native language. That is in Telugu. So now we are going to see some root words in Telugu. I've collected 3 root words in Telugu which are like this. The first one is alpa, which means takwa, and there are words like this with alpa. Alpulu, alpaharam, alpabuddhi, alpaishu, alpajivi, alpapidanam, alpadayam. So these are the words which took the root word alpa. So they have the meaning of this root word in each of these words. Here, all of the words have the root word in the beginning of the word, but they may also come in the middle or at the end of the word. Let's see the second root word, which is chara, meaning kadalika. Here are the words charanamulu, jalacharalu, charavani, nisacharulu, padacharulu, charachara jagattu. So these are the words with the root word chara. And here in the first word charanamulu, it is at the beginning of the word, and in the second word jalacharalu, it is at the end of the word. So root words can occur anywhere in a word. Let's go to the third root word, which is aharam, which means tindi, and we have the words like this: mitaharam, alpaharam, amrutaharam, sakaharam and mamsaharam. So these are the root words in Telugu, and most of the root words in Telugu are taken from Sanskrit language. I gave you these root words in Telugu to give a very clear picture of how these root words can help us in enhancing our vocabulary. If we know the meaning of one root word, we will be able to guess the meaning of some 6 to 7 new words which use that root word. So with this knowledge, let's get into the English root words. Let me give you a picture of a tree to make you understand these root words in a better way. So let's take these root words like act, view and agree. These are prefixes re, pre, dis and miss. These are suffixes er, able, full and ed. What are prefixes? Prefixes are the word parts which are added at the beginning of the root words, and suffixes are added at the end of the root words. Now let's see how are we going to form new words with the help of root words, prefixes and suffixes. The first one is react and acted. Here the root word is act, where we have added the prefix re in the first word and the suffix ed in the second word. Next example is preview and viewer, where the root word is view and we added pre prefix in the first word and er the suffix in the second word. Then here we have agree, the root word, to which we added dis to make it disagree. This is a prefix, and the suffix able in the second word to make it agreeable. Let's see 3 more root words here. They are play, write and read. The words we have with play are player, playful, replay, display. You can clearly see what's the root word and what are the prefixes and suffixes. The next one is reread, reader, readable. Here the root word is read and you can see what are the prefixes and suffixes. The third one is rewrite and writer. Write is the root word, whereas we have a prefix in rewrite and a suffix in writer. We can also add these prefixes and suffixes to the same root word at a time. Like this, disagreeable, reacted and rewritable. So in these words, agree, act and write are the root words where we have added prefixes and suffixes at a time. So dis is a prefix and able is a suffix in disagreeable. Re is a prefix and ed is a suffix in reacted. Re is a prefix and able is a suffix in rewritable. So this is how we take root words and add prefixes and suffixes to give new words. We'll first see the root words from lesson 1. The first root word is phone, which is a Greek root word and which means sound. So phone is sound. Now let us see what are the words that are derived from this Greek root phone. There are also some prefixes and suffixes which are used in these words. Sometimes these prefixes and suffixes are also from Greek or Latin roots. Like in the first word, microphone. Micro is also a Greek prefix which means small. Phone is sound. So it is small sound. It's an instrument to intensify slight sounds. Microphone is an instrument which converts sound waves into electrical signals which are then amplified, that is made louder and then transferred to speakers or sometimes even recorded. This is a microphone. We generally call it as mic, which is used on the stages. Then comes megaphone. Megaphone is a device that makes a very big sound when speaking into it. It is actually the device which not only amplifies but directs the voice. There is a difference between microphone and megaphone. Microphone changes natural voice into electrical signals, but whereas megaphone just amplifies the sound. It doesn't change natural voice into electrical signals. Then comes telephone. Again here, tele is also a Greek root which means far. So phone is sound. It is a device that carries sound over long distances. So this is the instrument which was even before the cell phones. and it is used to speak with people in far off places. Next, let us see symphony. Symphony is a group of instruments which sound together. It is a consonance of sounds. There is a harmony in such music. It is a harmonious combination of different musical instruments, as you can see in this picture. And if you can also listen this. So this is how a symphony looks like. Then comes euphonous. Euphonous is an adjective which means of a good sound or pleasant sounding. Mothers' voices are euphonous to babies, and usually lullabies are good examples of euphonous sounds. Lullabies are the songs which are used to lull babies to sleep. The rhymes like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star are also euphonous. Then comes cacophony, which is a harsh and unpleasant sound. Cacophony is opposite of euphonous. It is an antonym of euphonous. Euphonous is a very good sound, but cacophony is a harsh sound. It is a mixture of miscellaneous sounds. When we stand in the middle of a busy road or in a market, we hear different kinds of noises, and if these noises are put together, like the vendors shouting, vehicles honking, dogs barking, and many other such sounds, it is called cacophony. So this kind of noisy sound is called as a cacophony. Then comes phonetics. Phonetics is the study of sounds. It is a branch of language study which deals with how humans produce different sounds and the way that speech is understood. It is a study of physical properties of speech. You have studied phonetics in your first year syllabus, where you must have learned the 44 sounds of English phonetics. Then we see homophone. Homo is same, phone is sound. So these are the words which have same sound but are different in meaning and sometimes even in spelling. First, let us see some words which have same spelling and same sound but the meaning is different. These are also called homonyms. The first example I gave you under homonyms is bark. Bark of a tree is the hard outer layer of the trunk, and it could also be the barking of a dog. The spelling is same and the pronunciation is also same, but the meaning can be different. We have to understand it by context. And then we have bank, where one bank is where we save money, like Andhra Bank, State Bank, and here we have a piggy bank. And the other bank is the banks of river. The side of a river is also called bank. Then I have a set of examples like this. Bat, which is an animal, and bat, with which we seal, is also an animal, and the second one is a verb. To seal a letter or to seal a room is assuring that no one opens it. And then palm, which can be the part of our hand, or a tree like date palm, coconut, or areca palm. Iron could be an iron box with which we press our dresses neatly, and the other is a piece of iron which gets attracted to a magnet or that gets rusted. Here we see all the words which have the same spelling and pronunciation, that is same sound but a different meaning. Next we are going to see the words which have same sound but different spelling and different meaning. So the first one I give you is 1. 1 could be the number, or it could be the past tense of win. I won second prize in so and so competition. Here could be to hear something or to show some place. Here, come here, or I kept the book here. The next one is I. I is a sense organ with which we see, and the other I is a first person pronoun. The next one is our. So there are 60 minutes in an hour. This is part of time. Our class is going to the museum. This is the pronoun. Next comes male. The first word talks about the gender, male gender, and the second one about letters or a letter box. So these are the words which have same pronunciation but different meaning and different spelling. With this, we come to the end of the words we have seen with the first root word, that is phone, meaning sound. We have seen microphone, megaphone, telephone, symphony, euphonous, cacophony, and homophones. Just revise these words with the pictures I gave you in your mind. Now, let's move on to the next root word, which is micro, and this is a Greek prefix, which means very small. Let's see the first word with this. Microscope. Micro is small, scope is to see. So this is a device which helps us to see small objects. A device that magnifies the image of small objects. Microscope is a device which is used to see objects that are too small and that can't be seen by the naked eye. We generally see these microscopes in labs, like in medical labs or science labs. The next words are microorganism and microbe. I gave these two words at a time because they both mean the same. Micro is small, organism or the suffix be means living thing or living being. These are microscopic, which means we can see them only under a microscope. Examples of these are bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, and different kinds of viruses. You know something? We are always surrounded by some lakhs of microbes. Some of these are very harmful and some are useful. The study of these microorganisms or microbes is called as microbiology. That is our next word. So microbiology is the study of very small organisms. Microbiology is the study of organisms which I've listed just now. The study of bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, and different types of viruses. This field is concerned with the structure, function, and classification of such organisms and also the ways to exploit and control their activities. The next word is microsurgery, that is surgery using microscopes and other small instruments. This is a combination of using advanced microscopes and specialized precision tools which are also very small. Here the surgery is done with the help of advanced microscopes which are called diploscopes and the instruments which are small enough to do the job exactly. This microsurgery is being used for many operations nowadays. Then comes microphone, which is actually a repetition, but let's revise it. It's a device that converts sound waves into electrical signals and amplifies them so that we can hear the voice or sound louder. Next, we see microcosm, which means a small or miniature model of something. Let me say an airport which seems like a microcosm of a city is a good example for microcosm because it has all shops, restaurants, lounges, escalators, travelators, and it's just like a mini city. Here I gave you another example where there is a comparison between the brain cell of a mouse and the universe with all its planets, stars, galaxies, and nebulae. They just look same. So we can say that this brain cell is a microcosm of the universe. Hope now you understand the meaning of microcosm. Next comes a micrometer, which means an instrument for measuring minute distances. A micrometer is an instrument which is used for accurately measuring minute distances. They can make extraordinarily precise, that is exact measurements. Most micrometers are designed to measure within 1/1000th of an inch. You can just imagine. Exact measurements like this are necessary in proceedings like microsurgery, where a small difference can make a big damage. Then we have a microwave, which means a small radio wave. It is a high frequency radio wave. It is widely used in modern technology. It's most commonly used for point-to-point communication. One of the most common uses of microwaves is to heat food quickly. Now let's revise. We've seen microscope, microorganisms, microbes, microbiology, microsurgery, microphone, microcosm, micrometer, and microwave. I hope you remember the pictures of all these words, and that's enough to remember the words too. With this, we move on to the next root word. The next root word is ego, which is a Latin root which means I or self. As we see in the picture, we place ourselves above everything else. When you look up in a dictionary for this word, you will find the meaning as follows: the self, especially with a sense of self-importance. Let's see what are the words with this root. The first one is egoist, which means who always thinks about self, selfish person. We are all, to a great extent, egoists. It's healthy to be egoistic to a certain extent. But if this egoism makes us to be rude and snobbish, there's something we have to think over. The qualities of a typical egoistic person are being high on confidence, that is having overconfidence. They assume everyone else to be wrong. They always think, do, believe, and say only what they consider to be correct. If you have any of these traits, cut them off right now. So in this picture, we see a man saying, I am always right. They can't see that others can be right too. Next word is egotist, which means always thinks and talks about self, feels superior to others. Egoist and egotist, there's a very slight difference between them. The extra T in egotist should remind you of talking, because an egotist talks about himself all the time. Some qualities like feeling superior to others, seeking attention all the time for no reason, super selfishness, spending a lot of time in fantasy world, valuing material objects above all, not allowing others to talk, not able to accept failure can be seen in egotists. Here we can see a cartoon on the screen where a woman talks to a man saying, don't you ever get tired of patting yourself on the back? So the egotist is always patting on his back. That is, he keeps praising about himself. If we have any of these qualities, we should take them seriously and nip them off in the stage of a bird. The next word is egocentric. What is the center of the solar system? We know it's the sun. And what is the center of the universe? There's actually nothing. But these egocentric people think that they are the center of the universe. So if you consider yourself the center of universe, or if you're self-centered, then you can be called egocentric. So they think that they are the center of the universe and all that matters to them is the stuff about them, the stuff they hate, the stuff they love, and others are very peripheral to them. That is very unimportant to them. Egocentrism is someone's inability to understand that another person's view or opinion may be different than their own. They can't empathize. Then comes egomaniac, which means thinking about self, becoming an obsession. And they're abnormally self-absorbed. They think about themselves continuously. It's a serious mental condition that they should seek the help of doctors because mania means madness. These people become insane thinking too much about themselves. They follow their ungoverned impulses. That is, they can't control their behavior, and they have delusions of personal greatness, which means they keep thinking that they are very great. Though ego is important, we should never allow it to grow to this height. Then we are going to see a positive word with ego, which is superego. This is the part of yourself or our mind that tells you what is right and what is wrong. The part of the mind that is self-critical about us. Actually, this is a theoretical construct to describe the activity of mind. The primary action of the superego is to control or suppress entirely any basic instincts that are considered wrong or socially unacceptable. It tries to force us to act morally rather than realistically. See, here in the picture we see that you are in the middle of an important meeting and you feel hungry. Your basic instinct, that is ID, says, I need to eat right this second. But your ego says, you can't do that because you are in the middle of an important meeting. Now comes superego, which says eating during an important meeting is rude and inappropriate. So, ego deals with reality and superego provides guidelines for making judgments, and it also provides moral standards. Put simply, the superego is the part of a person's mind that helps keep the basic instincts in check, guiding a person to follow certain standard rules set by the society around. This superego develops greatly during the first 5 years of life and continues to develop into young adulthood. So it's important for you, my dear young friends, to set good role models in your life because your superego is designed on what you admire and absorb. Sometimes if you are very angry with someone, we feel like slapping them on their face. That's our basic instinct. So that's the first one. But our ego, which copes with reality, it says that no, you can't do that because maybe the other person is stronger, he may punch you back. But superego would say whether you're right or wrong. It checks you whether you're right or wrong in this situation. So this is what is superego. It deals with the morality of every person. Next word is Alterego, which has two shades of meaning. Another self, another side of oneself is one shade, and the other one is a second self or a bosom friend. It can be another side of oneself, that is the unknown part or unexpected behavior of the same person. We see that people behave differently at different places. An employee behaves differently at office and something else at home. I'll give you an example which is an extreme case of this idea. Can you identify the clip on the screen? Do you remember this movie? The protagonist or the hero in this movie has 3 different personalities. He is the same person but behaves in 3 totally different and unexpected ways. The first one is a shy and timid character who wants to fight for the law and to stand up for justice. The second one is a stylish pop singer. The third one is one who crudely kills people for their wrongdoings and corrupt minds. If you haven't watched this movie, watch it now. You will never forget the meaning of alter ego. The other meaning is a second self or a bosom friend. A second self is another person who is just like us, not looks-wise but personality-wise. Usually our best chums are like us. So it can also mean a bosom friend or a best friend. I suppose you must have identified your second selves by now. Taking this into account, let's pull ourselves to the last word of this sitting. That is egoity, the essence of ego or personality. Egoity is the essential element of a person. It is personality. Sometimes we tend to coin some to be gentle or rude or aggressive or friendly type. Such terms give the essential personality of people. Here I give you the basic qualities of some personality types. The first one is a person who seeks power and has these qualities in his personality. He'll be confident, he's driven and influential. And a person who is passionate is expressive, intuitive and impulsive. The people who look like mystics are understated, complex and deliberate. Those who value prestige are ambitious, discerning and strong-willed. Alarm indicates those who are anxious and work hard to be perfectionists, but they are reliable and careful. Those who seem rebellion are innovative, independent and unpredictable. Those who can be trusted are stable, reliable and comforting. Do you see yourself in any of these types? If you can't, don't worry. There are other types too. I gave you just a few basic types. Now, let's quickly revise the words we saw with the root ego. Egoist, egotist, egocentric, egomaniac, superego, alterego and egoity. The root words we saw today are phone, which means sound, micro meaning small, and ego, which is I or self. Keep revising these words because in our next meet, I may check how far you revised. Now, let's call it a day. Have a great time.